Hey guys, Philosopher here, and today I've got an interesting video, something a little different for you today. I'm calling it Kestrel in the Art of War. And what I'm going to talk to you about today is how the Alliance War meta has been radically transformed over this patch, not just once, but twice. And I'm going to use that as a way of kind of showing you some higher level concepts in war and helping you understand how I think about war, alliance war, not just as somebody who is making these lists for you, but as somebody who is quarterbacking and helping to lead the war efforts for a large alliance. So one thing that I've been getting a lot of questions about, particularly early in the patch, was what do we do with Kestrel on war? I had people throwing her on war defense. Sometimes they would throw her with X Factor, for example, on war defense. There are people using her with Kestrel with X Factor on war offense, and they're like, it's amazing. You just throw Kestrel on X Factor, they can punch up 300k, 400k. And I and what I would say to them is that, well, my X Factor punches up 300k without Kestrel. What do you need Kestrel for, right? She makes every team better. So why are you using her with that team, right? I had people creating super teams and showing me I've put Zemo and Kestrel and Hela together, all sorts of stuff like that, where people were putting together these super offense teams and people also throwing her on defense. That was a question I got early in this patch. Lately, the questions are all about heroes for hire, and how we counter for heroes for hire, where Kestrel fits in with that. There's been people suggesting that Kestrel should even be the fifth with heroes for hire. And really, what's going on now is we have a flux in what the meta is in war. So, one thing that I have worked on over the past month since I've been doing this content creation stuff is these tier lists. And these have not been updated for Kestrel or heroes for hire. And I didn't update them at first for Kestrel because I was trying to figure out myself what the best place to use Kestrel was. And once I did, I decided to use the team against some other top alliances first, the team I came up with, before showcasing them for all of you. And it created a bit of a stir and a change in the meta amongst the top alliances. So what I'm going to do first is show you the team that I came up with for Kestrel, an offense team, in a meta that has already changed because, of course, now we now have a situation where Heroes for Hire has transformed the meta again, and now you need Kestrel against Heroes for Hire. But this was a team that I used. So first of all, this here is Brotherhood Doom. And the Brotherhood Doom team is a team that a lot of you gave me flack on. I got all sorts of DMs and comments from people like, oh, this is a silly team. But this is a team that became very, very common in the upper levels in like diamond level war because if you put Doom with your symbiotes, or excuse me, if you put Doom with your Marauders, they just get beaten by symbiotes. In fact, most Doom teams are beaten by symbiotes or Shadowland. And one of the teams that isn't beaten by symbiotes and is tricky to beat with Shadowland is Brotherhood Doom because all those blinds come out, prevent the symbiotes from countering them. And Shadowland really has trouble getting past Blob and Juggernaut in time, and you really have to time the flip properly with Night Nurse and so forth. Now, before Kestrel came around, Uncanny Doom was just about as popular, perhaps even more popular than Brotherhood Doom. But once Kestrel came, you couldn't use Uncanny Doom because Kestrel would shut down Phoenix and shut down Doom. But now, so people were reverting to Brotherhood Doom. So what's the team that I was running Kestrel with? And you could see it here. So this was, initially I had Kestrel with Falcon, Nick Fury, Ultron, and I put War Machine in. The reality is you don't want War Machine here. I changed that later to Namor. And I can show you another video with Namor, but it really doesn't matter. I mean, Namor just makes this team even more ridiculous. But essentially what the team does is between Namor and Falcon And Ultron, basically, Doom never takes a turn. And you just use all the pings from Kestrel to kill all of the other members of the team. So Falcon special gets you about 450 turn meter. Namor will take 500 turn meter off the enemy. Doom's accelerator bot will take 400 turn meter off of Doom. And in the meantime, Kestrel's preventing Doom from using any. So here you go. So here you go. That's reducing speed bar by 30% on Doom. In the meantime, Kestrel's preventing Doom from summoning Doom bots, and you have all these summons that are pinging. And essentially, you can defeat basically any Doom team with this Kestrel team. And the team is, as I said, Kestrel, Falcon, Namor, Ultron, Nick Fury. Very, very straightforward team. Easy to get big punch-ups with this team. And I used it in multiple wars to great success. Now, why is this team so valuable? All right, why is this team a fantastic war team, much more valuable than just throwing Kestrel on X Factor? Well, we all have a limited number of characters. And there's two concepts that I want you to understand of what's happening here in high level war. So one thing you want to do is get the most out of the characters that you have. So what if the team that I created was essentially Kestrel plus a bunch of spare parts, and they were a whole new tier 1 war offense team. You could put them right in this range, right? They would beat Doom for you. They would beat the toughest team, so you could put them anywhere in this range you wanted. This is the pre-Kestrel meta. And they don't take away any of these teams. They don't take away characters from Black Order, Shadowland, X Factor, Hydra, Skill Military, nothing. So what they do is enable you to take your 9th best war offense team and use those characters on defense. It enables you to have flexibility, perhaps, to have more war offense teams so you can pick and choose them. And it allows you to combine. So we were able to, for example, combine and throw Hela on X-Force, or throw Hela with Zemo, or do other things because we didn't need Hela Natural and X-Force and Hydra anymore. We had a whole extra war offense team. It allowed us at the very end to have extra teams when we were racing, for example. So at my level of war, we always full clear the other side. So do they. They full clear us. It's all a race to see who can full clear the other side first. And it's about making sure that your side has more teams available at the end that are better to counter the enemy's teams. So last patch earlier this patch before Heroes for Hire came out, everyone was putting Doom in the last spot, and the race came down to who could be killing those Brotherhood Doom teams in a more efficient way. Well, when we had the last big war that we had before Heroes for Hire came, was against Smash, which is, I'm in another top Diamond Alliance. And we used the team that I came up with. And you could imagine the result. It was an automatic, these are all basically automatic victories, many of them at the race. And it's that team that I told you. Fury, Falcon, Ultron, Namor, Kestrel. Over and over and over and over and over and over again. And then over and over and over and over again. Every single time, one-shotting the Brotherhood Doom in seconds. Very, very fast fight. Basically impossible to lose. This was in Reactor, 85k punch-up. Many of these are punch-ups. Easy battle against what at the time was considered the top defense. Now, this resulted in a huge win for my alliance. And the reason it did is because what was the other side doing in this war? Here's an example of where they were using their Kestrel. They were using Kestrel with X Factor, not even built up, and she carried their X Factor to barely beat my Brotherhood Doom. And what did that mean for their alliance? It meant that at the end of the war, they were doing things like throwing power armor at our Brotherhood Dooms to sacrifice, to basically take a loss to beat this because they ran out of the teams to do it. That's what they ended up having to do at the end. So, what I want you to understand is that part of the art of war is not just beating the other side, getting the biggest punch up. And I know people are impressed when they get a punch up, and that's there's nothing wrong with that. But really, at a high level, and I'm somebody I love strategy games. But as somebody who's trying to lead an alliance's effort in a particular war, what I'm trying to do is utilize our resources most effectively, and that is managing the teams that we have in a way that makes sure that by the end of the war, we have the teams left to beat our opponent, and they don't have the teams left to beat ours. So in war offense, that is all about making sure you utilize the characters in an effective way. So, I haven't updated this and that early in the patches, because not just because I was figuring out how to use Kestrel, but then I knew Heroes for Hire was coming and was going to change this. And I'm going to get to how this is going to change again soon. But on war defense, I hope this helps you understand why I have some of these teams on here. I get questions all the time from players. Why do you throw Uncanny on defense? I use them on offense, or whatever. The reason that we do this is to make sure we're utilizing all of our characters in a way to ensure that we have the firepower left at the end to full clear the other side. All right? That's a concept in war I want you to understand. So how has this changed since Heroes for Hire has come along? Why aren't I updating this list? Where are my videos showcasing war offense and war defense teams? Well, if I was going to make a war defense tier list right now, I would put Heroes for Hire on its own tier. And then everything else would be basically 2 tiers below. Because the entire meta revolves around how can you defeat Heroes for Hire efficiently. And we're in wars now with other diamond alliances that cannot clear us. We've had alliances that have had 80 plus losses against us. And it's just, and I'm sure you've seen the same thing in your own wars, right? Because Heroes for Hire can be very challenging as it scales up. And so another thing I will just say is, the teams that defeat a 300 or 400K Heroes for Hire do not defeat a 700K Heroes for Hire. And so as the team gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it becomes more and more, the entire effort is how do you beat these Hero for Hire teams? And the same thing on war offense. If I was going to make a war offense list, there'd be its own tier, which would just be Heroes for Hire counters. And everything else is sort of secondary to that. Now, just to be clear, at low levels, I've used my Shadowland to one-shot a Heroes for Hire team. I did it on a big one time. I'm going to release that video maybe tomorrow. But you can use X Factor at low levels to beat Heroes for Hire. You can use a bunch of teams, even Astonishing X-Men. But once it gets big enough, you can't do that anymore. And so all I will just say to you is that right now this list is in flux. The devs deliberately created a team that cannot be beaten. And what the secret right now, and the art of Alliance War right now, is ensuring that you have enough offensive firepower for each member to take down at least one Heroes for Hire team and still have enough to clear other teams, so that you're not throwing everything to sack these teams one by one, character by character, but you're able to one-shot or two-shot each one of those Heroes for Hire teams. That's what the art of war is right now. And that is really more generally what the art of war is all about. All right, I hope this video gave you a little bit of perspective on how this patch has changed Alliance War, how I view Alliance War. It's going to be in substitute right now for a war offense defense tier list. I may release new tier lists soon, but the meta is still in flux. We're still figuring out how Heroes for Hire changes things. But I will be continuing to monitor the meta. And as things get more solidified, I'll definitely have more updates for you. All right. If you like this video, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel. If you have comments, leave them below or go to my Discord. We have lots of great discussions about war there. And also, check out my Twitch stream. The people on my stream knew about my team well before I did this video because they were watching it win in real time.